Sounds good. Nigeria Chambers from Big Gold Belt Media. Joe and Mike, thank you so much for your time today. We return back to the world of Twisted Metal for season two on Peacock, July 31st. How you two doing?
Excellent. How you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. Man, okay. So obviously the dynamic between these two characters here are like what everybody's glued on because however you want to look at it, Sweet Tooth ain't somebody you mess around with. Joe ain't somebody you mess around with. Mike, you're such a lovable person and still is somebody we root for. So you're just wanting to know what these two are going to get into from scene to scene. There's so much fun and energy throughout the entirety of the cast, but there's something very special with you two. How you two riff off from one another, the sort of unpredictability. You never know when this killer clown is might strike a move, but Stu's kind of still in it for it. How did you two work? And ultimately, just talk about working with one another for two seasons now.
Do you want me to start or you want to go?
Go ahead.
Joe is, Joe is just a born performer. He's an entertainer, and his physicality is it's just amazing to watch on set. He's like a Marx brother. He's like the whatever the fourth or fifth Marx brother. I forgot how many there are, but he's just incredible. He's using every part of his body to tell his story, and I think the actors and I just watch that in awe. And also, he's given the best damn performance every take. He knows all this stuff, and I'm an improviser. I'm from the comedy background, and Joe is always just down to riff or do whatever and play into that relationship. And I think that I am a softie like Stu is, and also I am a fan of Samoa Joe, and I'm a fan of Sweet Tooth, and Stu is a fan of Sweet Tooth. So a lot of that overlaps. And I'm giving off that big brother energy because I love hanging with Joe, and it's been a blast, man. I've had such a great, that's my favorite stuff to film too. I've had such a great time hanging with Joe and shooting with Joe the last 2 years.
I'll echo that. Mike, obviously, very talented actor and very, very fun to work with. You're right about one thing. I am intimidating, but Mike is very lovable. They call him double huggable in the streets. That's this guy's. He's got a following. You know what I mean? Like, so don't let anybody fool you. Like in that energy. It's just seductive. I see girls be like, "Oh, Stu." They're about him. So just watch out. Don't let that innocent face fool you. That's a stone cold killer right there, boy. Let me tell you. That's what Sweet Tooth probably sees in him. To be honest.
You know what? That's and this is literally what I had in my notes in terms of preparing for review, and I realized I had to talk about it in the interview as well too. Is that like, hey, Mike, Stu gets his Terminator moment, and it's badass. I mean, I didn't know I needed it till it happened. For you as the fan, like when you saw that on the script, what was your thoughts?
I was so honored and felt so lucky to be able to do, you know what I mean? Like Stu definitely when the show started, I never saw him being a badass in any way. And so it's great that we get to see both sides of the character, and we get to see this funny moment where Stu comes in is actually helpful for once. But like I think the combo of Joe being a homicidal maniac and a killer, and me being kind of a big lovable doofus. That combo is just so fun to watch. You never know what's going to happen. You never know if Sweet Tooth is just going to get tired of me and chop my head off. But for whatever reason, we make it work, and you feel that on set, man. We're always having a blast together.
Hey, that's funny. You said you can't have like a little Terminator moment because see, I got to see the show about a couple days before he did, and he asked me, he said, "Hey, listen, how the last part came out when I came back?" And all I said to him was, "Cuckoo, cuckoo."
And then Joe, for you, man, I mean, you've been a performer your entire life. And again, you won championships all over the world. Uh, what was really special to see you on the screen was that, in case anybody didn't know, like when it comes down to stunts and martial arts and combat, you're one of the elites in the world. You have a very fantastic moment in the end of the season where you get to throw down with won't name. For you putting together that scene, just talk about the excitement and was there any bit of a learning curve stepping outside of what you do in pro wrestling?
Fortunately, and I like to say this, stuntmen and pro wrestlers were cousins. We really are. Like Our terminologies are very similar. I'm now like actively studying the true connection between the two, because there's just too much that we overlap between the two professions that there wasn't some type of meeting of the mind somewhere, somehow, some way. It's too many coincidences. Anyways, that being said, putting together the stunt fights and all that stuff was awesome. For me personally, I've been sitting over here next to a bucket of weapons, ain't swung one of these at a single human being my entire life. Now, finally, after all these years, they put a big ass blade in my hand and told me to go swing it at somebody. And I did. And it felt marvelous. And it was wonderful. And it was freeing and cathartic and every other word you want to use to justify you just wilding out. So, yeah, that's what happened. It was awesome. I did a whole bunch of kung fu. Y'all should come watch it. It was fun for me. It's going to be fun for you. And it was a good time for everybody. So, yes, that was one of my favorite moments in the whole season.
Amazing.
I've seen that bucket of weapons. It is real. He's got a real bucket. Wow.
Man. I had so much.
I'm ready
fun.
for Hollywood Joe. I want that to be. I want Hollywood Joe to come into the wrestling world. I put on some sunglasses. I want to see. I honestly, working with Joe has been such a pleasure, and he's so good at what he does, and I can't wait to see him blow up even more in Hollywood. I want to see more Joe.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Big same. Joe and Mike, thank you so much for your time. I swear we can probably talk for another 30 minutes if we could. But in the meantime, I got to send folks to go do their work. And that's to go to Peacock, July 31st, Twisted Metal, season 2, 3 episodes dropping. It's a hell of a time. Joe and Mike, I really appreciate the time today.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take care.